for the,
Because you're not gonna get that advertising.
maybe not.
People aren't gonna talk about you. so don't worry about the fourth one.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our pre-meeting for our council meeting at 10. First on the agenda is approval of monthly bills. Approve April 2022 monthly bills. Any questions? All right, approval of minutes, April 21st, 2022, 4 p.m. special called council meeting, April 25th, 2022, 8:30 a.m. special called work session, April 25th, 2022, 5 p.m. work session, May 2nd, 2022, 5:30 p.m. work session, May 2nd, 6 p.m. council meeting. Any questions? All right, public hearings, ordinance 22-4509, approve rezoning request 139022 to rezone a tract of land containing 33.12 acres more or less from Ag 1 agricultural district to R5 single family patio home district located at 4000 Spring Avenue Southwest. Public hearing was set April 18th, 2022. Okay, no changes. Any questions? Ordinance 22-4510, approve rezoning request 139122 for a tract of land containing 80.86 acres more or less from an Ag 1 agricultural district to R5 single family patio home residential district and R6 single family semi-attached residential district, and is located at 2705 Modus Road Southwest. Public hearing set on April 18th, 2022. Okay, any questions? Resolution 22-117, approve request for special event retail liquor license for WIT LLC, doing business as JW Steakhouse on June 11th, 2022 at 802A Wilson Street Northwest, Decatur, Alabama 35601. Okay, any questions? All right, resolutions. Resolution 22-104, approve MUB expenditure of $448,882 for 46 kV reconductor over Flint Creek. Okay, any questions? Resolution 22-105, approve request from AT&T for a special use permit to modify equipment on an existing tower located at 4216 Highway 31 South.
Good morning, Council President and Mayor. David Andrews with CMS. Apologize for not having someone present for the work session last week. This is for an application made by AT&T to modify the existing site at the 911 Center on Highway 31. AT&T is currently providing service at 229 feet. It's a 300-foot guide tower. They're requesting to remove 3 antennas and add 6 antennas. This is being done for a 5G upgrade. CMS has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
All right, any questions? Thanks, David.
Yes, sir.
Resolution 22-106, approve vacation 54122 Justin Roberts. Okay, any questions? Resolution 22-107, approve Austinville Park change orders 1, 2, and 3.
No changes unless the council has questions.
Okay, any questions? All right, resolution 22-108, approve reimbursable expenses for Decatur Urban Ventures for Mcgee Square Townhomes.
No changes.
All right, any questions? Resolution 22-109, approve overage of original cost approval for solid waste vehicles. Okay, any questions? Resolution 22-110, approve the proposal with Q Wright McAnally Incorporated for professional services for project management and civil engineering design for Cell 16 development.
No change.
All right, any questions? Resolution 22-111, approve the proposal with TTL Incorporated for construction quality assurance services for MSW Cell 16 construction and C&D Cell A excavation.
No change.
Okay, any questions? Resolution 22-112, approve utility and construction agreement between State of Alabama and the city, did I miss? No, I didn't. And City of Decatur, Church Street project number STPSU 5220252. I'll read all those again. Resolution 22-113, approve ALDOT funding of Church Street project STPSU 5220252 with balance paid from city's general fund, unassigned balance fund, in the amount of $243,205.76. Any questions? Resolution 22-114, approve reimbursable agreement for relocation of utility facilities between the City of Decatur and Decatur Utilities, ALDOT City Form Number 3. Okay, any questions? Resolution 22-115, approve new core agreement for heavy haul road usage and maintenance.
There's no change, we're just they're gonna use it, then city engineer will let them know when it needs to be repaired or re-inspected.
All right, any questions? Resolution 22-116, approve Goodwin Mills K-Wood as the selected firm for the new recreation center.
No change.
Any questions? All right, resolution 22-118, approve capital purchase of HVAC system for Decatur Fire Station Number 3.
I have no changes.
Okay. That's Heritage. All right, ordinances, ordinance number 22-4517, approve annexation request 36822 by Ivan Holt, G&H Holdings. All right, any questions? All right, we will get started at 10 o'clock. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Matt Dubois with campus pastor at First Bible Church here in Decatur will lead us in the invocation and pledge.
Let's pray. Lord, we come to you this morning and recognize that you are eternal, almighty, and most gracious God. Heaven is your throne and earth is your footstool. Holy and revered is your name. You are praised by heavenly hosts and in the congregations of your saints on earth. This morning, Lord, we thank you for your goodness and your kindness. We're thankful to you for the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're thankful for Jesus, fully God and fully man, perfect and holy. We're thankful for the good news that he's died in our place, died in the place of sinners like me. And this morning, as we pray, the words of Ephesians 3 are in my heart. So I pray for us that Christ would dwell in our hearts through faith, and that as a result, we would be rooted and grounded in love. God, I ask that you would help us to comprehend the breadth and the length and the height and the depth of the love of Christ towards us today. Lord, I do come to you now and ask for your help. And we come to you seeking wisdom and discernment. I'm so thankful for the men and women in this room who have committed so much of their lives to help lead our city, to help lead in this community. Lord, it is a good and godly thing to serve others in this way, and I'm thankful for that. And Lord, we do ask for help in the things that will take place in this meeting. I know there are so many details and there's so many things that are wrapped up in leading and developing plans, and we ask for help in that. This morning, I think specifically of our mayor. I think of Tab Bowling. I think of our council members, of Billy Jackson, of Kyle Dukes Pikes, of Carlton McMasters, of Hunter Pepper, and of Jacob Ladner. Pray especially for them as they lead, and pray that they would be helped by you. And pray the same for so many other people that we can name at this time, Lord. So help us today do the things that we're called to do in a way that is loving and generous and kind, in a way that serves this city well. Pray all these things in Jesus' precious and holy name. Amen. Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Matt. Roll call.
Wagner.
Here.
McMasters.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Pike.
Here.
Pepper.
Here. All right, first item on the agenda is to approve monthly bills. Approve April 2022 monthly bills.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
I'm just going to abstain today until I get further clarification on a couple of things on there. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Abstain.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
All right, the monthly bills are approved with a vote of 4-0 and 1 abstention. Next is approval of minutes. Anybody have an issue taking these all at once? All right.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Pepper. Second by Mr. Pike. To take all these at one time. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye. Minutes are approved with a vote of 5-0. Next, we have public hearings. Ordinance number 22-4509, approve rezoning request 139022 to rezone a tract of land containing 33.12 acres more or less from Ag 1 Agricultural District to R5 Single Family Patio Home District, and is located at approximately 4000 Spring Avenue Southwest. Public hearing was set April 18th, 2022. Lee?
Yes, this is approximately 33 acres. This property is just to the immediate south of the Catholic Church there on Spring Avenue, and the request is to go to R5 Patio Homes. It was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
All right, this is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing now. I do have two signed up to speak. First is Miss Andrea Hoffmeyer-Wilson, and we'll do 3 minutes, and you can just state your name at the podium.
Thank you for giving me a few moments. Again, Andrea Hoffmeyer-Wilson, 1306 Carradale Street Southwest. I'm here speaking on behalf of One Duck, that's One Decatur United Citizens Kaizen. We are a grassroots continual improvement coalition for accountability of the city's comprehensive plan implementation. Now, as I pointed out when this was being scheduled, we really think that this is a great location for this type of zoning, so we're not objecting at all. We do have a question about the planning process for these 30 acres with the trees. So we're hoping to avoid the indiscriminate clear cutting of trees that we've seen at 809 Carradale Street. There's a substantial triangular shaped grove facing St. Anne's that provides a buffer, and then there's a strip of it tailing off from that triangular grove and then on the back side of the property. There is a significant stand of trees on the southwest side of the property facing Spring Avenue. That stretch there on Spring Avenue really could use some more streetscaping, so obviously there are trees that would have to be removed from that triangular shaped grove, but our hope would be that the developer would then be responsible for replacing those with streetscaping along on Spring Avenue. As we pointed out in the last meeting when we introduced the idea of developing a tree protection ordinance, we are really looking to mirror what they have done in the city of Auburn, where the Auburn landscape ordinance is targeted at developers, not permanent private homeowners, to transient property owners like developers. So in Auburn, it's designed to encourage the planting and retention of larger growing, long-lived tree species and to discourage problem species such as Bradford pears and crepe myrtles. So that's another thing to consider when we look at what could go along the streetscape to replace. We've already seen what happened with crepe myrtles with the TVA taking them out. So just looking for some process. There may be some process already in place that doesn't require a tree ordinance. However, that intervention has to take place before the trees are cut. In the city of Auburn, the tree commission, which we don't have a tree board or tree commissions, the developers and builders, they worked together because they wanted to keep mature trees on these properties being developed. So for every large tree retained, the developer or builder receives a credit for 2 to 3 trees because they don't have to replace that total diameter. So there you go. That's our question.
And I'm going to go ahead and let Rob, and then we'll address your question.
He's actually on the other property on
I'm
Modus
sorry.
Road.
Just kidding. Well, unless you want to speak. Sorry. Okay, Lee, do you mind just talking through the process of getting the plat and kind of where we are in that process?
If this is approved today, the next step will be submission of a plat. That's, of course, in 3 steps: layout, preliminary, and final. At preliminary, once preliminary plat's approved, that's when public improvements can begin to be constructed. Final plat approval, that's when the lots are recorded and can then be sold for building of each individual house on the properties.
So as far as landscaping, you would see any of that in your plat approval or no?
If the developer were to do any landscaping beyond what is required, typically they would put that in the plat at some point just to signify where that would be, but.
Yeah, and I would agree that section of Spring could use some, and I think this is a good way to do that through a development to make it is pretty, it's not the best looking piece of property, and I think this hopefully, will help with that. A development is a good way to help with the way things look aesthetically, but any other questions or comments for Lee? All right, is there anyone else here to speak on this particular item? All right, seeing no one else here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call?
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Ordinance 224509 is approved with a vote of 5-0. Next is ordinance number 224510, approve rezoning request 139122 for a tract of land containing 80.86 acres, more or less, from an Ag 1 agricultural district to R5 single-family patio home residential district and R6 single-family semi-attached residential district, and is located at 2705 Modus Road Southwest. Public hearing was set April 18th, 2022.
Yes, this is approximately 80 acres on Modus Road, immediately west of where Dunbarton subdivision currently ends, and just right across the road from the Jack Allen Recreation Complex there. This one is looking for a R5 patio home, and there's a small section towards the southern property boundary that is looking for R6 townhomes to be surrounded by the patio homes. You should have seen it on your map that was included as part of this. And this was also recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
All right, this is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing, and I do have Andrea, you signed up too, I think. Hofmeyer Wilson first on the list. If I read what y'all wrote, I could do better.
No worries, it's Monday. So, would you like to know who I am again?
No, you can just
Okay,
go.
thank you. So I bet you're wondering what I'm here to talk about. Here to talk about trees here on this stretch of Modus Road, and we brought this up when it was being scheduled. This is 80 acres, so it's much more substantial. It's more than twice the size, and the tree preservation that we're really concerned about here is on the southern strip of this property. Virtually the whole back 20% of this property has a huge grove of trees. That would greatly affect Newport Drive Southwest if this were completely decimated and if there were no buffer zone left. We could say, well, it's common sense that a developer wouldn't clear cut all the way to the property line, but common sense isn't necessarily common practice, because at 809 Carradale Street, the property was completely cut all the way to the property line with no buffer zone left at all. So those folks living along, there's, I don't know, like 20 homes would be impacted if that were clear cut all the way to the end. So in the process that we have in place, it seems like the landscaping comes in after the land is cleared, so we've got a little bit of a problem there. Then along on the eastern side bordering, then that whole other residential street would be impacted if that buffer zone were removed. There's also a very large stand of trees up on the northeast side of the property that could very likely just be looked at as a nuisance and removed. It's not just little scraggle trees. They are very mature trees. So again, we're looking to have as many trees preserved as possible. We're not unrealistic. We understand that you're going to have to take out a substantial number of trees for this. If that could be compensated by streetscaping Modus Road, which really desperately needs it, because we've got the soccer fields there, we've got the middle school, we've got the high school, and it's just, there's a dearth of streetscaping trees along there. So, you know, the question I have there is, where in the process could we interject some collaboration with the developer to maintain responsibility earlier in the process instead of later? So, and I ended before 3 minutes, so
You
I
did
think I
good.
should get extra points for that.
You still get 3 minutes next time.
Okay.
All right, Rob Wilson.
Rob Wilson, 1306 Carradale Street. I'm also with One Duck Citizens Group in Decatur. I want to talk just a minute about the sidewalk bike path part of this property. There's sidewalk bike path about halfway down on the south side, headed west toward Austin High School. Assume that the rest of that is gonna be sidewalked past Jack Allen toward, down toward, headed west. When we do that, the bike path that's there now is a 5-foot bike path, 4.5 to 5, it varies a little bit, but it's in good shape. But the one thing to remember to do, so that the city doesn't have a problem down the road, is make sure that that is ADA compliant, which is 60 inches across. If you're 4 feet, 48 inches across, which is what most of the sidewalks tend to be, every 200 feet you gotta have a passing lane. It makes sense to have that to be a bike path anyway with between two schools. Again, in the process, there's conversation that happens about it, but it should just be a little bit more set up front, we think, but it certainly needs to be addressed. Thanks.
And I agree. I think I know we've had some discussions, and did Senator Orr get the
Multi-use TAP
trail? I think?
It's a multi-use TAP grant, but Allen is the, right now, we go across to Jack Allen.
Yes, sir, when it goes to Jack Allen, and then the plan actually for the bike trail is to go from Jack Allen using Bunny Lane to get to the high school.
And I think that's good for I guess the bike trail would go that way. I do think that's a valid point, and I don't know if we want to talk to the developer about their plans for it, if they're going to extend that same multi-use trail. There is another landowner next to the one we're talking about that's a different piece of property, but it makes sense to continue that all the way to Shady Grove, in my opinion. There's a sidewalk down Shady Grove.
There's
too.
been conversations in the past in technical review that we would require.
Take it to a low motion, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But not just in that location, but in the past, there's been conversations when developers do come in, if there's a possibility for them to, to help us with the bike trail, because we're continually trying to get all of those connected, that we would ask the developers to do that. So when we got to that point, I'm sure that would be something that.
The only other wrench to throw into that, of course, is that we're looking at widening most of that section, which I think we talked about with this potential traffic. We had come up a few times, and I think we absolutely need to be on the, fast track to widening modus. So how does the existing, there needs to be one, but make sure we know that as maybe
At that
part of that
point, we would
project.
of course,
Yeah.
with that point, we would just have to make sure that if we have to take the bike trail out, that any
Widening includes that
would include
right
that.
away,
And we would have to do that with the fact that we use grant money to build the trail to start with.
Sure. But yes, I agree. It ought to go all the way to Shady Grove. And then the bike trail can go into Jack Allen. I like that, and connect to Bunny Lane. All right, thanks, Rob and Andrea. Anyone else here to speak on this item? All right, seeing no one else here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Ordinance 22-4510 is approved 5-0. Next is Resolution 22-117, approved request for special event retail liquor license for WIT LLC, doing business as JW Steakhouse on June 11th, 2022 at 802A Wilson Street Northwest, Decatur, Alabama 356.
All criteria.
All right, sorry, this is a public hearing. We'll open the floor for anyone to speak. Seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-117 is approved with a vote of 5-0. Next, we have resolutions. Resolution 22104, approve MUB expenditure of $448,882 for 46 kV reconductor over Flint Creek. Glenn?
Yeah, good morning. Glenn Boyles from Decatur Utilities. This is a request to upgrade a 46 kV line that runs across the Flint Creek area. We'll be upgrading the conductor in that area and also replacing some of our older poles in the area with new steel pole structures. We went out to bid for contract labor for this job, and we received 4 responsive bids, and we are proposing to go with our low bidder for this job.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Abstain.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22104 is approved with a vote of 4-0 with 1 abstention. Thanks,
Thank you.
Glenn. Next, resolution 22105, approve request from AT&T for a special use permit to modify equipment on an existing tower located at 4216 Highway 31 South.
Good morning, President, Council, Mayor. David Andrews with CMS, the city's consultant for wireless telecommunications. This application is made by AT&T to modify the existing tower at the 911 center on Highway 31, right off Highway 31. It's a 300-foot guide tower. AT&T is currently providing service at 229 foot. They currently have 6 antennas mounted on the tower. They're requesting to remove 3 of those and add 6 new antennas. This modification is being done to provide 5G service to the Highway 31 area in South Decatur. CMS has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22105 is approved 5-0. Next is resolution 22106, approve vacation 54122 Justin Roberts.
Yes, this is a portion of a easement that this property is looking at being replatted, and 3 additional homes are being added to this existing neighborhood. And this easement interferes with the building line of one of the properties. DU and engineering were both okay with this, and it was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22106 is approved 5-0. Next is resolution 22107, approve Austinville Park change orders 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, Mr. President, Council, Mayor, these are some small change orders to complete the Austinville Park project to this point, whether we have under contract. So most of it was to remove the playground equipment that was there, and then there's a couple of electrical issues that were added. So we just request your approval for these change orders.
Second. I have a motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Ms. Wilson did want to speak on this item as well.
Thank you for giving me a few moments on this. I don't have any issues on the expenditure at all. It's in the neighborhood of thousands and thousands of dollars. So what I'm going to suggest is a tiny little infinitesimal fraction of the total budget. What we're suggesting is that we improve community awareness about what is going on with the park. There's been some confusion on social media and various people, some scuttlebutt, people, even just neighbors stopping and having discussion about it. Confusion about the declined grant for the fitness park area. And this would be a great opportunity to just raise awareness of what's going on, to describe and illustrate the plan at the site with signage. So it could have just a schematic of what is being worked on and an approximate timeline. So I think that that could probably be done for a very tiny fraction of what we're talking about. Dollar-wise, we don't have any problem with it dollars we're talking about today. But the other thing that I think that we really need to look at is Spring Avenue is absolutely not bike-friendly and not pedestrian-friendly, and this would be a really good time to address it. We've actually seen there's families that go up and down Spring Avenue, pushing strollers. There's kids that try to bike up and down Spring Avenue at that stretch. And just recently, Rob and I passed a fellow who is vision impaired, walking with a cane and literally walking in the gutter. I mean, there's not even a wide enough shoulder on the road where it's safe for pedestrians. So while we're doing this and making all these great improvements, community awareness of what's going on and make it safe for families to get to and from the park. That's all.
And you're talking about Spring Avenue on the north side of the belt.
Yes, yes.
I live right off Spring on the south, so when you say spring, I'm thinking.
The Spring Avenue where the cool people live,
That's right.
Jacob,
I'm
where the
sorry.
cool people live.
I should have known.
So, and I ended in less than 3 minutes, so I think I should get like a piggy bank of seconds.
Yeah,
You've gone over a few times, so I think you're evening out.
your point on the signage is well taken. And one of the toughest things that municipalities across the nation are challenged with right now is communicating with the residents, the public. And so well taken. And then there is a plan in place for adding ADA compliant sidewalks throughout the city. But they're on a schedule as to when those are added, where they're added, things of that nature. Trying to get them close to schools, near medical facilities, things of that nature. So anything to add to that, Alan?
No, sir, I think.
Okay, so there is a plan.
Right.
Okay.
And I would add, I think we've discussed several times up here that we do know that the neighborhood, there's been communication gaps, both on, I think originally what the neighborhood wanted. I think we just want a green space, was kind of communicated maybe by some, and now we're getting a lot of communication that we want swing sets and slides and things for kids to play on. So that's also, I think, something we've discussed we want to do in that area, and there will be some discussion at the end of the meeting about specifically about the fitness court too. So
Great, great.
yeah, but thank you. for
Thank
that.
you.
So moved.
We actually have a motion and a second already. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Wagner,
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Resolution 22107 is approved 5-0. Next, we have Resolution 22108, approve reimbursable expenses for Decatur Urban Ventures for Mcgee Square Townhomes.
Yeah, this is a request from Decatur Urban Ventures to reimburse them for the bearing of power lines, utility lines on Bank and Walnut Street. So that's where it's before you today.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper. Second. Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
What's the funding source on that again?
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22108 is approved 4-1. Next is Resolution 22109, approve overage of original cost approval for solid waste vehicles.
Good morning. So from our first quote that we got several months ago until we decided to move this to the mid-year, the price was an increase of $35,409. It was only on one vehicle.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
So it's only on one vehicle, so we shouldn't see any more.
No, sir, no more.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22109 is approved 5-0. Next is Resolution 22110, approve the proposal with Pewright McNally Inc. for professional services for project management, civil engineering design for Cell 16 development. Wanda?
Hi, this is a proposal from Pewright McAnally for the design and project of our new cell 16 for our municipal solid waste, which is the garbage area of our landfill. We're asking for your approval. The amount of this is an estimated lump sum fee of $221,850.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-110 is approved 5-0. Next is Resolution 22-111, approve the proposal with TTL Incorporated for construction quality assurance services for MSW Cell 16 construction and C&D Cell A excavation.
This is a proposal from TTL, and this is for the construction quality assurance, and also they will do any materials testing that we need, not only for our new Cell 16, but Cell A of our C&D site, which we will be excavating first. So we need that extra dirt for Cell 16. And this proposal is an estimated, sorry, I know it's 81,000. $81,915.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-111 is approved 5-0. Next is Resolution 22-112, approve utility and construction agreement between State of Alabama and City of Decatur Church Street Project STPSU 5220252. Carl?
Mayor, Council, Carl Pruitt, City Engineer. This and actually the next two items are all a part of the same project, relocating a water line we didn't realize initially we would have to do. But this is an agreement between us and the state for that utility relocation.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
Carl, how long have we been working with this particular project?
Church Street project, it was last fall, I think, when we started when we approved the engineering to start. It was sometime in the fall of last year.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-112 is approved 5-0. Next, Resolution 22-113, approve ALDOT funding of Church Street Project STPSU 5220252 with balance paid from city's general fund, unassigned balance fund in the amount of $243,205.76.
And this is actually just approving the dollars for that utility relocation.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-113 is approved 5-0. Resolution 22-114, approve reimbursable agreement for relocation of utility facilities between the City of Decatur and Decatur Utilities, ALDOT City Form Number 3.
Yeah, this is the DU and the city share portion of this utility relocation, and this is just the reimbursable side of us paying for it and then paying us back when the job's done.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
So the $1 million question, or several $1 million question, when are we gonna get started?
That is a good question. I think it was slated to bid this month, but I don't think we're gonna make that. I'm not sure where it got pushed to. I need to ask Dwayne, or somebody with ALDOT when the actual bid time. It was supposed to be this month. I'm not sure now.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-114 is approved 5-0. Next, we have Resolution 22-115, approve new core agreement for heavy haul road usage and maintenance.
Nucor asked the city to consider along Process Drive and Northport Drive out by their plant, be allowed to use those roadways to really for the safety of their trucks and their contractors and the general public. In response to that, they would agree to maintain the roads to our standards. The city engineer in their sole discretion would determine when that was to occur. This agreement would extend 2 years beyond the last time. In other words, they can give us notice they do not wish to do this any longer, but this agreement provides that they will pay for any repairs that are done within 2 years after that date. So that's what it does. It allows Nucor to put their trucks or their contractors' trucks on this two
And we have a
particular
motion.
drives. Yeah.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Resolution 22-115 is approved 5-0. Next, we have Resolution 22-116, approve Goodwin Mills Kaywood GMC as a selected firm for the new recreation center.
Good morning, council, mayor. We're recommending Goodwin Mills and Kaywood be the firm that helps us do the rec center. We had 7 firms that put in RFQs. We looked over those, and we feel like Goodwin Mills Kaywood is definitely the one we want to go with.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
I've just been very clear about my position on this rec center, so I will support this today.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Resolution 22-116 is approved with a vote of 4-1. Thanks, Jason. Resolution 22-118, authorized capital purchase of HVAC system for Decatur Fire Station Number 3. Chief?
Yes, sir. Tracy Thornton, Fire Chief. This is for Fire Station Number 3. The HVAC has went out. This is for replacement of the unit. And Kyle said the money's coming from the Heritage Fund on that. And it was $14,955.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
Chief, when will they be able to begin the work?
We talked to them last week when we found out everything was going on with everybody being out of town, and we asked them to go ahead and order the stuff last week, so they said 5 to 7 days it should be in. So hopefully in the next few days it should be here, and they'll do it as soon as it comes in.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Resolution 22-118 is approved with a vote of 5-0. We did have an addition, Resolution 22-119, which is the appointment Chief of Police, Todd Pinion. Rochelle?
Thank you for adding that. This is just the official appointment for Todd Pinion to be police chief in the paid grades 26 at step 3, and that will become effective Monday, May the 30th. We will host a special event on Tuesday, the 31st.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
I'll say that over the past few weeks, when I've had issues that come up, Chief Pinion's been very available, I'll say, and I appreciate that. I will support you everywhere that I can. I did not take part in the interview process, so I'll abstain today.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Abstain.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 22-119 is approved with a vote of 4-0 with 1 abstention. Next, we have ordinances. Ordinance number 22-4517, approve annexation request 36822 by Ivan Holt, G&H Holdings.
Yes, this is a piece of property just south of Highway 24 on McIntyre Lane. Existing business on that property, been there for several years at this point. They're needing access to the sewer system, and that's the stated purpose for this annexation request.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Ordinance number 224517 is approved with a vote of 5-0. Next council work session will be held on May 31st, 2022 at 5 p.m. Next regular council meeting will be held on June 6th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Anything else from directors? I know Alan or Jason had something. Or Alan and Jason.
Yeah, get both of us. Jason can answer any of the tough questions. I get the easy one. Jason and I, Community Development, Parks and Rec, met with, or had a conference call with Blue Cross and Blue Shield about the fitness court. We informed them, you know, the situation with community not being fully on board with the location. They were fine with it. They were very understanding. Still, they said that Decatur was on their radar. I mean, was one of their primary goals was to get a fitness court in Decatur. We gave them a couple of different locations. One being, we've had some community members that have come and presented maybe doing it in front of the small dog park at Wilson Morgan. Jason has looked at that site and he thought that that would be a good site. We got an email this morning from Blue Cross and Blue Shield that said they agreed with that if we wanted to move forward. So where we are now is that they are willing to do the grant at Wilson Morgan in front of the small dog park. The thing now is going to be funding. It's $117,000 for a match that would be required for that. There wouldn't be any grant money, other grant funds that would be available at Wilson Morgan to do that. We do feel like that because of that location and in talking with Blue Cross and Blue Shield that there would be a couple of sponsorship possibilities that would be, you know, because the way the fitness court is made, there's a huge sign that says fitness court, City of Decatur, and then there'd be a couple of locations for potentially for sponsorship. So we would, you know, exercise that avenue, but we just need direction if, you know, if we need to put that on the council agenda, if y'all would like to move forward with that or not.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good location, kind of in conjunction, I guess, with if the rec center potentially go in there and.
I mean, it's at the walking trail. I mean,
Yeah.
they were fine with it. Again, that was, you know, when they actually approached us, you know, Wilson Morgan was one of their locations to start with.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
I think that'd be good. I mean, you already have a lot of people there exercising, doing their activities, so I think that's a much better location.
And as far as community involvement, if you don't mind, let me just address that just for a second. Community development, when we do our consolidated 5-year action plan, we have multiple, not just 2, it's 7, 8 community meetings that we have with different stakeholders throughout the community. We meet with the departments. A lot of times what happens at meetings like, I mean, and I do think that there's, you know, communication a lot of times when, you know, if one of the things that always comes up is transportation. We don't have transportation in the city. Well, we do have. We all know that we've got that. But with that, we've got to understand maybe it's that we need to do better advertising. It's not that we don't have the service, it's just that we need to do a better job of expressing that. I think the signage, I mean, hey, if that helps, we can put a sign up with the architectural drawings of what's going in wherever we're doing. We can do that. I mean, that would be very simple to do. But at the same time, I just want you all to understand and the community to understand, you know, community development is not just throwing things out and that we, you know, where we think they want to. I mean, we try and we do as much as we can. On top of those 5-year plans, we come back and we have individual public hearings on those. We do have 2 a year. We advertise them in the paper. we want community involvement. We want to know what the community wants. And through that process with, with Austinville in particular, we heard from that community that they wanted green space because what was happening is they were playing soccer on the tennis courts. That was, in talking with Parks and Rec, that was in fact what was happening. That's why that we did what we did at that park. I understand now that the neighborhood now doesn't like it, and I can promise you, Jason can attest to this. He and I's already talked. We're going to make that happen. If that's what the community wants, we'll do whatever the community desires. But that is a shift from what we originally had heard, and which is fine. But also understand that I'm not sitting on the 5th floor making those decisions, and I don't want the community to think that. And I'm sure that I feel confident that the council knows that. But I want the community to know that we're not just sitting up making those decisions, because that's not what we want, and that's not my desire as community development, and that's not what we're about.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I think obviously what makes that a challenge is you try to reach out, and some members of whichever community, any of the districts, show up and have an opinion, and then you do that, and then maybe even the same number of people come back and say, well, we didn't want that. So yeah, but I appreciate you with that.
And again, in y'all's defense, I think it's the speed at which you guys are able to move. And it's not your fault. It's, grant applications and all that fun stuff. I mean, this has been going on for 2 years now.
Well, it actually started in 2020. That's when the consolidated plan, and that's when we had our initial meetings about.
So I've come downstairs and seen you planning for the community meetings over the years, and not always the best turnout. Some of them, they're kind of short in
Yes,
duration.
and we have to prepare just like there's going to be 100 and there may be 2. But
what I was saying earlier, and I think you understood, this is something that's impacting municipalities across the nation.
It's every business, every communication's always the number one issue you're trying to fix. So.
But we will take that under advisement, and that's an easy fix. I mean, at least just to get something out there. Hey, this is what's coming. Like, if nothing else, just like what the bank's got out on 30, on 31. As you drive by, you can see a picture of it and say, hey, that looks like that's what's coming.
Good.
So, and we can definitely do that.
Thanks, Alan.
So, I guess.
Yeah, I think let's move forward. Mr. Pepper,
I
it's your
agree. No, I think
district.
it's perfect.
Yeah. So let's move in that direction.
Don't
Everything's
change your
happening in
mind now,
District 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm 4, excuse me.
That hurt.
It's easy.
I wasn't gonna say a word. I was just gonna
That
say
hurt. You were right the first time.
Thank y'all.
All right, anything else from directors? Mayor?
Just an update. I've reached out to Brad Phillips, our Information Systems Director, about bringing the microphones back in here that we used to have. Be very effective at the podium for our guests to be able to hear, and the same thing for our council members. So try to get that done this week. Short notice, and wasn't able to get it done today. And then I want to just try to speak on something that's been going on. Highway 20 corridor has been a major thoroughfare for our city in Limestone County for years, and that the traffic counts just continue to increase out there. And with that, it's sadly we've seen a lot of incidents that they've resulted in fatalities. And over the years, there's been opportunities for development in the area, and had that development taken place, the city would have been responsible for getting an overpass in place for safe access and egress. And that would have had a pretty significant debt service with it. Back in 2017, with the assistance of really because of community development and grant writing and such, we applied for a build grant, and we were fortunate to receive an award in our first application. And that was about a $16 million build grant that was provided by the Federal Highway Administration to put an overpass in to connect the north and south side for serious safety improvements there along Highway 20. And we're very thankful that we were able to get that. We're drawing near to the end of that project. We're going to see something, I think, around August, September. Carl, does that sound right? Everything stays on track. And while it's pretty obvious that there's really no development taking place out there right now, but it will happen with the traffic count. So just wanted residents to know that no taxpayer expense for this development as it relates to the overpass, as it relates to acquisition of right-of-ways. Yes, you know, we had some costs there, but again, this was covered by a grant, and we're very thankful that the Osayan built it and they will come. Well, we're going to get to experience that.
Good, thank you, Mayor. The other good news about it being done in August is we can then apply for another one.
Yes.
All right, anything else, Mayor?
No, sir.
Okay, anything from council? All right, we're dismissed, thanks.